This is The Spot, a BYU-Idaho radio production where we talk about what you're talking about at BYU-Idaho. Today's hosts are me, Savannah Bewley,
Hayden Hahn,
and Colton Scholl.
The views and opinions of this podcast are not that of BYU-Idaho Radio or the university and are solely the opinions of the hosts. And of course, we've got lots of opinions today because we are talking about villains. Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of opinions about different kinds of villains, all kinds of villains, and that is it. Nothing else, just villains.
So hopefully you like villain talk because that's all we're talking about.
We thought it'd be great for the first episode for October, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we did talk to some other students around campus about their favorite villains. This is what they had to say.
I'd say Darth Vader because he's super strong with the Force and he's sick.
My favorite villain is the evil stepmom from Rapunzel because she was really hot and then she got ugly.
It's hard to pick a favorite villain, but if I had to pick one, I'd probably pick the most recent one I've seen, and that would have to be Gus Fring from the Breaking Bad universe. First off, it's a great performance by the actor, and he just gives the character a whole nother degree of depth, and just the way that he carries himself and handles business, and we never really get to see inside his mind, so it's very interesting and keeps you on your toes from someone who's very calm outwardly. So it was an interesting antagonist for that show.
I like Unicron mainly just because it's in the Transformers universe. Unicron represents evil, and Primus represents good. Kind of like God and devil things. There's a lot of things that Transformers and Christianity have in common in terms of good guys and bad guys and their lore.
My favorite villain is Joker, probably because, he's pretty smart. Like, when you think about it, like, all the plans he comes up with to, like, try and beat Batman and take over the city, like, he's actually a pretty smart guy.
My favorite villain is Loki because he is easy to sympathize with and has a great character arc.
So it was kind of fun going out and getting those, I would say, opinions because, like, we started out with, this is kind of like, people have their own opinions, like, and they're pretty strong about villains. And so one of my favorites that I got out there was, I would have to say probably Joker, just because I relate. Like, Joker, I feel like, is one of those villains that we've grown up with in a way. Like, everyone nowadays. It's like, you've seen Joker so many times, portrayed in different ways. And so when it came to all those ones I asked about, I think Joker is the one I relate the most with because it's just like, I've seen so much of him. But in a good way. Like, he's been portrayed in so many different ways that I like it,
Yeah. One of the things that I think is the coolest about the Joker, and something that you don't often see, a lot of people think of Heath Ledger's Joker and like that style of Joker, which has been predominant for the last little bit. But if you go back far enough, you can find almost any villain aesthetic with the Joker. He's gone through kind of like a couple of different phases. Yeah. Like back in the Adam West days with Cesar Romero, he has this sort of like really jokey, kind of like ridiculous. He's more of a clown than anything else. And then you have, it moved on. I think this was Golden Age, where he's like a gangster that just is a clown. And I think that's, oh shoot, he plays Vulture.
Oh, the guy.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, mine. Yep,
Michael Keaton plays Joker, and he doesn't. He plays Batman.
He plays Batman, but it's that Joker?
It's the Joker for there. And that Joker is played by another great actor who plays... goodness, I'm the worst at this. He plays the dad in the hotel horror movie.
Yeah, and Here's Johnny, whatever, right?
Yeah. Oh, I hate myself. What is that called? What's that movie?
Basically, I do agree, though. He's like, I've seen that one, and everyone agrees. Yeah, The Shining.
There you go.
Sorry. I know, I was like, for some reason, I forgot it, too, so I was about to just roll with him.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson's Joker. There we go.
And he was, I mean, people really enjoyed his Joker, I would say. Yeah. And that was one of the first ones I would say I saw, but it was just creepy in a good Joker-y way.
What'd you guys think of Jared Leto?
Ooh.
I didn't actually see that movie because after Green Lantern came out,
Oh gosh.
I was pretty much locked down to just Nolan DC movies, and then he stopped making them, and I'm like, nah.
I liked, in a way, I kind of liked it. Like, I thought it was super out of like going. It's a tough role to do after the whole Batman Begins and all that Joker series, and it's like going from Heath Ledger to this. Like, it's kind of intimidating, you know?
Yeah.
To live up to that. So I think like going so far in doing it as good as he did, like you gotta say like Jared Leto did okay. Like, you can't just be like, a lot of people just bash on it and be like, he just did so bad, but you gotta appreciate where he was coming from. Like, that's a big role to fill.
It really is. It's like, I don't know. I wouldn't say Jared Leto's my favorite Joker, but I definitely think his style is different, and I think he did what he could with what you were saying, with what he had, right? And a lot of people give him slack, and I think they shouldn't, because he's a good actor. Are you making millions of dollars being an evil clown? Like, no, I don't think so. Like,
I'm saying. I mean, he's doing better than I'll ever do, I guess.
And then, of course, Joaquin Phoenix, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I thought that one went a little too far, but that's my own opinion.
He got real into it, I would say.
Yeah.
Became the Joker in a way.
So outside of the Joker, we got just those 6 people, and they all said different things. That shows how many villains there are out there and how many passionate views there are about villains. So yeah, Darth Vader for sure is one to talk about a little bit.
I agree. Darth Vader again is kind of on the same level as Joker, at least to me. And I would say probably all of us, again, like we grew up with it and we've seen like we were born into the Star Wars, the prequel series kind of, right? Like that's us, you know? And so we got to see the development of Darth Vader, which made him a whole different kind of a villain.
Completely.
Like he wasn't just some evil guy who ended up being a dad of Luke. Like, no, he was a kid that we saw grow up and become this person, and so he went through stuff. And now with the new Obi-Wan series, like we see like that little moment when he's with Obi-Wan, like he's like, no, Anakin's dead, you know, like, and it's kind of, he's blaming Obi-Wan for
that
it.
Scene justifies the entire series to me. It's so good.
It's so good. It's like he almost didn't, at that point I'm like, is he really a villain or is he just a guy who's gone through some stuff?
He's just gone through some stuff.
Exactly.
And that's the thing, is like in our generation we're seeing a lot of movies that are like, hey, here's the villain's story, like Maleficent, for example. Like, I actually love that movie quite a bit. Both of those movies. Wait, are there 3 now?
I mean, I might be 3. I know there's 2 for sure.
There's definitely 2.
There's more than one?
Yeah.
There's 2.
Geez.
The second one's good too.
Bad, yeah.
But I would say I like the first one better. Yeah. It's just, I don't know, it stands on its own, you know? Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. So I think all of us kind of have this like interesting perspective on villains because we grew up with some of these interesting movies that are like from the villain's perspective, you know. So when we talk to people from our generation, at least for me, I get a lot of people that are passionate about their villains.
Oh yeah.
We actually haven't talked about our personal favorite villains yet. So do you want to start us off, Colton?
Sure. Mine's actually from a video game. It's called Borderlands 2, and the villain is a man named Handsome Jack. And Handsome Jack is a great villain because from the beginning, he portrays himself as a hero. And honestly, if you look at sort of like his perception, you can totally see how he views himself that way. Literally, the heroes of Borderlands are like mercenary bandit people. And he's this person who's trying to bring order to this wild, lawless, wild land that, and I love the Borderlands series. There's this plot. The people who are on the planet that you play Borderlands on, the people on Pandora, if you read the lore, those are all criminals who were clinically insane and were like given to corporations to mine for resources on Pandora. So every single person you interact with is either an exploitive like corporative person who was left behind, or an actual maniac.
So you can't really trust nobody.
Like, no. So it's like this: the planet that you're on is insane and not a hospitable place to live. And Jack is like coming in to fix that. But, and this is a little bit dipping into the next game, which kind of retroactively turns him into even more of a better guy. But essentially the concept is like, I cannot trust any of you to, 1, get this done, and 2, to have everyone's best interests at heart because he's been betrayed time and time again. And so he's just like, I have to be ruthless. Doesn't mean I can't have fun with it too, because he's hilarious the entire time. He's got the frequency to your like radio
he's in your ear
thing
the whole time.
The entire time. He's just like he I love to hate him because he's a horrible person, but he's hilarious, and it's just really hilarious, and he has a compelling reason to be doing what he's doing, and the voice actor really has this incredible performance where you can feel him getting more and more frustrated with you as you continue to succeed, and desperate at the end, where he goes into almost this mania where he doesn't ever realize that he's the villain, but he sees himself as this hero who is failing, and he sees the righteousness of his cause being stripped from him. And it's just you feel that the entire time. And for such a stupid, like, funny game that's like very lowbrow humor most of the time, it's very well written, and it made me feel for him as well as feel the need to go and defeat him. And I think that's a really good line to walk with a villain.
I agree.
Absolutely. What about you, Hayden?
I would say mine's like a typical answer, but I think I just loved it too much. But Thanos, and so with Thanos being, and it's kind of on the same level I think as the villains we've talked about today, where like he kind of had a good reason for it, at least in his own mind at the end of the day, and he felt like he needed to do what he had to do, and so in watching, I would say. What is it? Not Endgame, but the one right before. What's it called?
Infinity War?
Infinity War, yeah. Watching Infinity War and then seeing the very end of it where he's just sitting there and like on the planet just by himself. Like he looks like he's a calm guy and he's like done his purpose and he's like at peace, you know? Yeah. And so a second you're like, you know what? Like that's kind of like a nice little view. Like he's just literally chilling on a planet and he's just comfortable with what he's done and he's peaceful. But at the same time, then you see all the other sides of Thanos and all that buildup that we've had through all the other movies and just word of mouth, like who is Thanos? And then we see him, and then once we see him, he's this giant purple guy and he's kind of intimidating, and I would never want to come against that guy. But just seeing the character growth and I would say background, I love a villain that has a purpose, and I would say more than anyone, like Thanos had a real purpose that they did a great job building up to that, I would say. And so Thanos, and I know a lot of people I think a lot of people might agree he's a pretty dang good villain, right?
Yeah.
And so I really enjoyed.
I like him, and I like especially what you're talking about, how he just kind of like goes and chills out. Like he doesn't try to conquer anything. He doesn't try to present himself as this like big savior, like give me your stuff because I saved you. He literally goes and he farms. He's like, yeah, no, I did it.
I did it.
Cool. He
just comes right for him.
Yeah.
Too. And like the next movie, it's like, what just happened? You know. Oh
my gosh. As far as villains go for me, I would say, so there's two, and I can't pick between the two. Ursula. I freaking love Ursula. She's the best. She's like my dream character. I want to like become her one day. Just like on stage, the one with the giant, like, you know, octopus arms, everything. I would love to play her someday. But I don't know. There's just this quality about her. I think... I know she has like, I don't know, you don't see her side of the story, right? But she's just something, you know? You watch her and you're like, wow, your performance is just amazing. And the voice actress and just what she does with taking Ariel's voice and changing herself, almost I can kind of relate to that, you know? Some people just don't like who they are as a person and they want to change themselves physically and gain other people's dreams, you know? And so, yeah, I don't know. I like that about her, even though she's obviously very evil.
She needs her own
amazing.
movie, that would be like a Maleficent kind of thing. She needs a Ursula movie.
She needs one.
I don't know if I ever heard anything like that, but that would be a cool
should be
like
one.
background how she became Ursula.
Well, they're rebooting. They're doing a live action Little Mermaid.
They're doing a live
right?
action, so maybe they
after
will off
that.
Of that.
They probably will end up doing one.
Yep.
But that would be amazing. And if they do, I will definitely be the first person in line to go see it. So, second one, Oogie Boogie from Nightmare Before Christmas.
Wow.
He's got rhythm.
Yeah, he's got rhythm. But also, like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are like, Oogie Boogie, you know? And I'm like, but dude, listen here. Just listen. So Jack Skellington gets super, like, you know, famous in Nightmare Before Christmas. He's like the one that everybody's like, the Pumpkin King, right? Who lives below the Pumpkin King, right? Who kidnaps people? Who, like, actually does evil things? Oogie Boogie? Why is he not the Pumpkin King?
Right.
Like,
and Jack is sort of like, when Oogie Boogie does his play for power, it's when Jack is like forsaking everything that is Halloween. He's running away. Everybody has their purpose, which I think is kind of the moral at the end of the story when like Santa's like, hey, stay in your freaking holiday, Jack.
Yeah.
I think that's the moral of the story. And that's literally what Oogie Boogie's like goal is to separate the holidays.
And he's literally made out of bugs. Like, what more can you ask for a king of Halloween? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He's great. Also, a good mention, Captain Hook.
Oh yeah.
He's great.
Captain Hook. Love it.
But yeah, those are my favorites, I would say. Honorable mention,
Tom Nook.
Stardust. Tom Nook. Oh, yes. Let's go back to Tom Nook
in there. I had to slip that in there.
So right before we started the podcast, we started talking about worst villains.
Mm-hmm.
Hayden looked up what it was just a Google.
I just
search.
Googled it and I just went down until I saw like the typical answers on top, and then like right below the typical answers was Tom Nook, and I was like, whoa, that dude slipped in there, but he deserves it.
If you go to the internet, of course the first answer for villain you're going to get is the capitalist. It's just the way that things are going on the internet.
Tom Nook.
But dude, I love to call him Tom Crook because, and I can say that I've played over 500 hours of Animal Crossing, and that is not an over exaggeration. You can
just
ask
the
my
new
roommates.
one or all together, you think?
The new one. The new one.
Did you play the older ones too?
I did not play the older ones, but I should have because I probably would have loved them.
Yeah, I loved it. But yeah, Tom Nook was still the same. That dude's just making you do like he can do some of that on his own, you know? Like help a brother out. That guy's just making me do all this work. I'm tired.
Yeah.
It became a job at the end of the day.
And then asking lots and lots of money of you for like
exactly.
simple things because he's the only one on the island that's making money. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. He is definitely Tom Crook for sure.
He's the spiritual successor to the Monopoly Man.
Yes.
Literally, I think, yeah.
That is a great comparison. Other honorable mentions?
Oh, I can do a quick one, just a real life, I would say. Just it goes actually to basketball, and so I'm a big Phoenix Suns fan from Arizona, and so we got to the finals 2 years ago, and there's this one guy, literally one guy beat us, and his name is Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh,
very specific. I serve a name in Africa, and he has a Nigerian name, so I can say that pretty. I mean, I could say it pretty good. But Giannis Antetokounmpo took us down single-handedly, and so I was really bummed. We were up 2-0 in the finals, and they won 4 games straight, and so made us all really sad. And so I'm still sad over it.
Dang!
It's a new year. Hopefully, something better will happen. That's my plan.
I don't know, man. I'm not sure if I have a real life example villain.
Sorry, I kind of sprung that on you.
No, it's all good.
I didn't think about it, but there are definitely some that we haven't even talked about. Scar.
Scar's a great one.
Oh my gosh, Scar. It's just crazy. We were my roommate and I this morning, we were talking about Scar, and we were like, what is Scar's story?
He's a bad dude.
Right? But
that's another backstory that we need a movie.
Yeah, like we need a movie, right? And we looked it up, and there were like several different versions, and like what happened, and like how he got his scar in several different ways. One was about him and Mufasa going to, and a third friend going to play somewhere as kids, and then the third friend gets killed by these evil lions, and the evil lions scratch Scar because Scar was protecting the friend, and then end up bringing Scar with them and adopting him and teaching them their ways.
Which and that's why he like looks different. He doesn't have the genetic.
He doesn't have he kind of looks like a villain, but he looks different than like his family.
Right.
You know
he looks like
he's
from a different pride just based on like his mane and stuff.
Like he went through some stuff to be.
Yeah, it does. And honestly, like just from that specific theory, or I don't even know if it was a theory or if it was actually Disney, but just that specific thing, I was like, but he still technically was genetically Mufasa's brother in that, and I'm like, I feel like that's not right. Like he just doesn't,
something's off.
Yeah, something's off.
Now we're throwing theories out there.
I didn't even think.
Contact Disney right now.
You guys can
call them.
But
Call
we
Disney.
definitely need a Scar movie. We
That'd be
definitely need
so
a Scar
cool.
movie.
There's so many opportunities like that within the. I would say even just in the Disney universe. Like someone brought up Rapunzel's mom. Give her a movie. You know what I mean?
Right.
What I mean, we have a little bit of backstory at the very beginning where she shows that part where she gets the whatever thing to get you. Or
but why does she have this need to look
yeah.
beautiful. There's got to be a reason.
There's a reason.
You
Something
know?
happened. Her trauma. Something happened. You know.
Yeah,
Maybe
she probably
her
got
parents,
raised,
something.
to believe she was ugly or
Yep,
something.
exactly.
And, like, it'd be interesting to see her side of things.
A lot of people could probably sympathize it. Like, that's the thing. Like, she has this villainy story about her, but then, like, let's see her backstory, and people are like, you know what? Maybe she has reason to be doing what she's doing. Same thing with like Darth Vader nowadays. People are like, oh, he has reason to be doing what he's doing. So, I think everyone deserves a backstory. We can't just claim to be bad people. There's a reason why they're the way they are.
There is definitely a reason. I think Jafar's story would be really cool.
Oh my goodness!
You could probably go back and tell he was like a little kid and why he always wants power. He probably had zero power growing up. It's just really cool to see. Just to think and theorize about some of that stuff,
I agree.
There's a parody musical about Jafar growing up.
Oh,
or not him growing up, but it's him like as an advisor or trying to become an advisor, and it's all this stuff about where it's like very modernly relevant issues where he's like, our infrastructure is horrible, look at this stuff, and he's like making fun of like the cartoon stuff that's like suspension of disbelief that this works. He's like, every third day they're chasing the thieves through the forest through the town, and they knock over all these carts. How much food is wasted in these pursuits?
Like, totally obvious a little bit.
Yeah. And so he like goes on this tirade about how there needs to be social reform, and that's why he fights to become the advisors.
That's absolutely great.
He's a great guy then.
Oh yeah.
So good.
Oh yeah, no, he's a really good guy in the musical. It's hilarious.
Well, I do know that I would love to see some more villain opportunities, villain things, just know more about them. I tend to connect a lot with some of those characters that are like actually villains and we see their side of things.
Exactly. That's what I was saying, yep.
Megamind. That comes to mind.
That's a good one.
Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog.
Oh my goodness, yes.
So great. So great. Just things like that, and I don't know. I think, so I played a villain in high school on the stage in a musical, and ever since then, my brain has just been like, villains are the coolest.
Villains are fun.
And then just always trying to figure out their reasoning and be like, that's actually a reasonable person. Like, I don't know why people are so mad at them,
Well, I think there's more opportunity for a villain. Like, if you're a good guy, you're doing it because you want to be a good guy, and it's simple as that. But then to be a villain, there has to be an event or a reason or some type of trauma, something that you went through that made you become this great villain, you know what I mean? And to be a great villain, you got to have a good backstory. And so to be a good person and a good hero, you should be a good do the right thing. And so to be a good villain, though, it's got to be, I don't know, something wild. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing good nowadays, telling us the true story about villains.
Yeah, I think
absolutely.
I think it's just because of how long we had like cheesy villains that people got sick of it, and writers realized just how much potential. Yeah, and because you can't just have like Skeletor up on his skull throne just.
It's a great laugh. I want to throw out there too, Ganon from Legend of Zelda. Sorry, I was like, I grew up on that, so I got to give it some love,
Oh yeah, so good. I don't know. I end up when I grew up playing video games, my video games didn't have villains, so like Sims and stuff like that, Minecraft,
there's
like
some kind of
the problem
you could create villains.
Creeper. There is a villain in this.
The Creeper, yeah, that's true.
I guess
there's the Ender Dragon in Minecraft.
Well, no, in Sims and Minecraft, actually both have the same villain. Which is you.
That's true.
Oh, no.
To an extent, you are both the villain
You're right, because you're the person controlling the character.
That's true.
And I mean, that's all video games, right?
Yeah.
Though, but still, you're the one that telling them how to live their life.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a great YouTube series called Mob Squad. And it's Minecraft from the perspective of the mobs.
Yes.
And they're they're just living their lives, and they're like, this demon just spawned out of nowhere. They're taking all of our resources and piling over there. And if I even get close, he tries to murder me.
That's true. That's actually a really good point. Building an ugly log house in the middle of our land, too. What's this guy doing?
You've been listening to The Spot, a production of BYU-Idaho Radio. Today's hosts were me, Savannah Bewley,
Hayden Hahn,
and Colton Scholl.
The views and opinions of the podcast are not that of BYU-Idaho Radio or the university and are solely the opinions of the host. hosts. This episode was edited by me, Savannah Bewley. Producers were the hosts with supervision by Brandon Isle. Our theme music is Finding Happiness by DJ Quads and The Perpetual Ticking of Time by Artificial Music. To listen to more episodes of The Spot, like and follow us on social media or visit our website, byui.edu/radio, and click podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to the BYU-Idaho Radio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you get podcasts. And also, leave a review of the show and leave a comment on what we should talk about next.